My big dream is that we can keep this community going forever.
A strong community.
Working together.
To keep it going for our kids.
I think my big dream would be to make this someplace that my kids may want to come back to.
Think big, dream big.
It's very empowering. It suggests that we're in charge of our own future.
It's growing rural Nebraska from the inside out. It's that simple.
You write down your dreams of what you want to be when you grow up. You could be a teacher. You could be a nurse.
Nebraska Community Foundation is one of the very few institutions that's focused exclusively on the future. So we need to dream bigger.
We kind of had blinders on. We didn't really think big picture and have this end vision for what we want Nebraska City to be like.
They've just challenged us to think bigger than we thought before.
With the training and support they've given, all of a sudden we have a very clear picture of what we want the future to be like.
I think the Community Foundation has helped us say, no, this is doable, and here's how.
Nebraska Community Foundation has helped us to achieve a pride in our community and how we can work together to actually do something way beyond what we thought we could, ever dreamed that we could.
This idea for this thing all came about just a group of people getting together one night and just penciling things out on a napkin.
Byron's more than the 83 people that live here. There's that many or more outside of town, and we all call Byron home. That's probably been one of our bigger successes, was really connecting the ag community to what we were doing. Their ability to use a very efficient way to give in grain, and we were really successful at it and continue to be.
Through the Nebraska Community Foundation, we're seeing all kinds of community success stories. So one of the great things that happens is affiliated fund leaders are sharing the information, the passion, the energy that they have for their place with their neighbors, their neighboring affiliated fund leaders, and that's really creating tremendous momentum.
The Nebraska Community Foundation does a super job of coordinating communications between the different affiliated funds across the state.
It certainly helps, to see how other places have done it when you're trying to develop something that works for you.
Nebraska Community Foundation, this is Julie.
It really is the people that are at NCF. They take small steps in kind of leading us through, okay, if you want to do this, then what next do you need to do? And what next do you need to do? And push and pull us through that process.
I think what they've done is showed great patience, and it's simply because of their experience. They know what it takes for a community to move from where they are to where they want to be, or where it is. Even if they don't know where they want to be, they help lead you and guide you down the path and learn more about what we could be if we turned on that dream switch.
Where they've helped us dream the biggest was when we went through the action planning and we started looking at our endowment. And while this project is wonderful, that endowment will have a bigger impact on our community long term than this building will.
You give today and it may help for a few years, but you give an endowment, it's going to help forever. And I think that's probably the most difficult thing, is to educate people on and to help them to realize that in setting up this endowment, we may not know exactly today what the money is going to be used for 20 years from now, but the importance of having those available so that we can help our youth to dream big and so that we can make things happen.
The transfer of wealth is this incredible phenomenon. We estimate that in the next 50 years, some $600 billion is going to transfer from one generation to the next in Nebraska. Those are staggering sums. And if just a tiny portion of that, say 5%, were reinvested and reinvested forever through endowments in the communities where that wealth was made and accumulated, that's $30 billion. That's an incredible difference maker.
It just makes so much more sense. Why not leave it at home and figure out a way to enhance the community that you lived and worked in, that your family still lives and works in, and make it a better place.
The Nebraska Community Foundation has really pushed us to embrace the idea of strategic granting and thinking about larger pictures in our community instead of just fulfilling needs as they arise. And one is the Pender Main Street Thriftique.
And that grant basically was their startup fund. And they were able to get the ball rolling, and everything that they make goes back into the community.
And within the first year, they were able to donate $30,000 back into the community of Pender. So we feel like that was a strategic grant on our part because we were able to provide startup money to another group who was able to capitalize on that and create a much bigger impact.
Over the last several years, the Nebraska Community Foundation has been a partnered project. We've surveyed about 6,000 middle school and high school students in rural communities in Nebraska, and the results are quite extraordinary. The vast majority of those kids say they're living in wonderful places. They're proud to be where they're from. They're really engaged in their community, and more than half of them say they would be delighted to move back home and raise their kids near their parents if career opportunities were available to them. Well, the amazing thing about today, about the 21st century economy, is we don't necessarily have to create jobs for young people. Many times they can bring those jobs with them. Our community development goal has to be building communities and sustaining communities that people say, that's where I want to live, work, and play. That's where I want to raise my kids. And we're helping people to do that in all kinds of ways. Child development activities, recreational facilities, enhanced curriculum within our public school systems, elder care, leadership development, entrepreneurship training, all of these things that are just going to be real difference makers in the next 10 or 20 years.
I'd like to see the next generations coming forward knowing how to participate and that that's an expectation for them and finding ways to do that, because I think that leadership transition is very critical. So I think teaching kids and young adults about service and about how they can make a difference is really important for the future of any community.
The Youth Advisory Committee acts as a miniature fund advisory committee, and when we established it, we set the guidelines that they will have control or input over about 20% of our unrestricted endowment. So we're teaching them how to strategically give and be involved in charities beyond raising money through car washes. Now that's evolved into things like the Tech Revolution, where the Youth Advisory Committee granted funds to the local library to purchase iPads that they then took to nursing homes to teach residents how to stay in touch with their relatives that may live out of state or maybe even in another country.
That impacts those kids. You have an interaction between the people at the nursing home who have a lot to offer to these young people. You have the young people offering to the people at the nursing home.
That meshing of the ages is critical. If you're trying to build a vision and you're trying to dream big, you have to engage the young leaders.
That's part of our dream, is to engage our youth to come back to town and retain some of our talent. If that dream's fulfilled, we don't have to worry about the future of Nebraska City.
I never thought we would move back, but as you go away and then come back, your perspective changes. And I think we need to teach that to the next generation, that it's okay to go away and get that college degree and have a few years away from home, and then bring that back to our community so it can keep going and with the next generation and make it a better place.
The Nebraska Community Foundation is this extraordinary movement of all of these amazing community leaders, all these ambitious people that have these incredible hopes and dreams for their hometowns.
It has given me a much broader picture of philanthropy.
Think big, think about what's the best possibilities that might be available for you.
And what's possible out there.
And a lot of times it's stuff that maybe we never even imagined.
I think we need to turn up our dream switch and think big. Try to envision what we want our community to look like in a decade or two or 50 years down the road. I was born and raised here. My parents worked and now retired here. I raised my kids here. I now have grandkids here. That's 4 generations of families that call this home. And I want that for many other families as well. I want people to come here to love the community enough to stay and live and raise their families, call it home, and be proud of it.